Chats with Firefighters. The men and women behind the helmet. Episode 6. Craig, former fire captain in Kansas. Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here with us at Chats with Firefighters. With us, we have Craig, former fire captain in Kansas. And you chose a little tagline, and your tagline is, the shortcut to having what you want is to want what you have.
That's right.
Why did you choose that little tag?
So you had asked if I wanted to choose a tagline, and I didn't know that I had anything. I have lots of thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
But one day in between you asked and when I finally answered, I came across that, and that is exactly it for me. The place that I'm in right now is where I wanted to be. I am in the place that I wanted to be. And I can either choose to be disappointed where I'm at and want more, or I can realize that I have the things, I have what I want. I have the life that I want. I have the family that I want. I have the job that I want. I have everything. My castle is built. And I need to enjoy that and not to seek more, and that's what we do. It's human nature. I think that it's better to realize that you are where you wanted to be. If you'd have asked me 30 years ago where I wanted to be, I would have painted this picture. And here I am. So stop waiting for tomorrow. Stop waiting for next month. Stop wishing for something else. I'm here. I made it.
I love it. You made me think, actually, with the little tagline.
I did.
This morning, yes. I was like, actually, I love that. That's a great attitude to have.
I didn't invent it. I heard it somewhere. I can't take credit.
But that's a good one, because it's so easy to wish for things that we don't have, that we forget what we have.
That's right.
And loving what we have is opening the door for more.
That's right.
So I love that you chose that tagline, because that helped me too. So I love that.
The downside is I've learned that lesson over and over again in my life, and I'm trying to learn it at the final time. I want to learn it for the final time. But I've been there before. My parents built a house when I was in the 7th grade. They built a new home, and the home that I grew up in had no storage, an awesome living room, and an awesome garage, right? Mm-hmm. They built a house that had big bedrooms, big closets, a terrible living room, and a terrible garage. They forgot what they had already and built the house for what they didn't have. Appreciating what you have is important. And again, I feel like I've learned this lesson too many times. I need to stop learning it and just live it.
I love it. So let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about how you got into the fire service, coming from a cop's family.
That's right.
Because you shared that your whole family was cops, so let us know about that.
But before my family was cops, we were in flooring. My dad and his dad, my grandpa, they worked together doing flooring until I was about 10 years old. And it was about 1990. The economy was taking a dump, and the flooring industry rides the economy pretty tight, because you think that you need new carpet in the kids' bedrooms until the economy gets tough, and then you're like, oh, we don't need new carpet in the kids' bedrooms. We want new carpet in the kids' bedrooms. So that all tightens up, and basically it got rough, and my dad said he laid in bed one night, literally, thinking, all right, I got to do something different. Am I going to be a cop, or am I going to be a fireman? He was supposed to be a fireman because his grandpa, who spent some time raising him, was a fireman in the same city I was. So he was meant to be a fireman, but he ended up going to the police department. My mom's dad was a cop. Dad became a cop when I was about 10. My great-grandpa, my dad's grandpa, was a sheriff at one time out in western Kansas. And my wife became a cop while I was married to her. My son's a cop. My sister is a cop. Like, I came from a cop family. But all that to say that my mom's parents, they were older grandparents. They were almost the age of great-grandparents. And my dad's grandpa, I did notice at a young age that they didn't need for much. Between their Social Security and their retirement from public service, they were very comfortable in their old age. And I recognized that as a young man and thought, well, that seems like a good idea. Obviously, there was times in my teen years where I realized that I had a draw to service, right? And so, when I was in high school, I decided I was going to be a fireman. And I got straight out of high school and went to local community college and
Mm-hmm.
earned a fire science degree, which everybody who's ever earned a fire science degree goes, why did I do that? Right. But I did that and was a fireman when I was 20.
Did you begin as a volunteer or did you just go through training and went straight into professional?
There's lots of volunteer firefighters in my area. It's rural Kansas. I lived in a city, but around me is all rural and all volunteer. But I never did volunteer. I applied for a class on my fire department. They were going to start hiring like literally a month before I was done with my EMT certification, and that was a requirement. And I literally met with the fire chief and said, "Hey, the class will be done. I just have to do the boards. I can get you letters from my instructors telling you that it's cool." Because it was all going to work out. And he said, "Nope, that's our requirement. We're going to stick with it." And so I did go up to Kansas City and I applied in Johnson County. I applied at like 6 different departments in Johnson County. But by the time I heard back from any of them, the next class came through in my fire department and I got hired in my hometown. So, but I never did volunteer. I just did the fire science stuff. And, I worked all the way through, you work odd jobs and whatever you can do all the way through college to make it work. But no, I did not volunteer.
So did you go in as firefighter slash EMT or paramedic, or what was your specialty when you got in?
Yes, firefighter EMT. And again, on the department I worked for, being an EMT was a requirement. You had to be an EMT, but there were no paramedics and there were no SOPs that allowed you to do anything beyond EMT. So you couldn't even start an IV even if you were a paramedic. So I was a firefighter EMT, and on my department, it was lots of you're basically just starting to gather information and get things ready for when the ambulance got there on medical calls. But we went on every medical call.
Because you didn't have any ambulance? Is that what you meant?
My fire department didn't have an ambulance; it was a
Okay,
separate service.
I see.
So the county ran the ambulances, and the city ran the fire trucks.
Was this a municipal department or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So did you do like shifts? How many hours? Was it like a 48 hours shifts or?
We did what's called a modified 24/48. So it was on, off, on, off, on, 4 days off. So a 9 day cycle, you'd work 3 shifts on, off, on, 4 days off. Yeah, that's right. It's called the modified 24/48. Your firefighter listeners will know what that is.
I know, but we have a lot of people who are going to listen who are not firefighters. So I'm going to
Sure,
be asking the stupid questions. What do you mean?
that's okay. There's no such thing as a stupid question. That's what people say who've never heard me ask a question.
So what do you mean? You mean like 24 hours, then 48 hours break, 24 hours, 48 hours break? No.
Nope, that's a 24/48. We worked a modified 24/48. So in a 9 day cycle. So our work week was 9 days long. So let's say it's Monday. So I work Monday, I work Wednesday, I work Friday, I'm off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The next week I'll work Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The next week I'd work Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
So
Saturday.
that's 3 days in a
So
row that you're going to be working, night included?
no, so like I would work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I have the Tuesday and Thursday off.
Oh, I see what you mean. So did they give you a calendar? Because I would be confused.
So the union actually provided the calendars,
Okay.
and you'd go by what you needed. Like you have to give one to maybe mom or dad, or in my case, towards the end of my career, to your ex-wife, so she knows when you have the kids and when you
When you're
don't.
going to be
Right?
home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's confusing at first, but it actually becomes so routine that
You get used to it.
you'd take an extra shift, or you'd have a day off or something. You'd take a vacation day, and your teenage kids would be like, "Why are you here today?" Or you work a shift of overtime or something, and it throws the whole family off. But everybody does get used to the rhythm of it. It's just a 9 day work week.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that, and we'll go back to your journey, but little parenthesis about how your family needs to go along with a very different schedule than a regular job.
I have existed in a world my entire life where holidays don't have to exist on the holiday. Christmas might be celebrated on the 23rd or the 27th. It doesn't have to be on the 25th because maybe dad's working, you know? So,
Same with birthdays.
sure. Any special occasion you can imagine, it might not happen when it's supposed to. It'll happen, but it just might be a day or two off.
So the whole family needs to go along with that.
Oh, um, I've never been in a military family, but I would equate being a firefighter's wife to a military wife because the phone rings at midnight, maybe he has to go, you know, and that happens. Or and I wasn't a volunteer, but when something big happened in my city, we needed more people than were on shift at one time, and that's happened plenty. It's funny, I on my Facebook memories today or yesterday, I think it was yesterday, something came up, and it was a fire that I had. My aunt had shared about it. I remember that I had worked 4 straight days. I'd taken some extra shifts and I'd worked 4 straight days, and they were busy shifts. And I came home that day and I told my wife, all I want to do is have a good night's sleep. That's all I want.
Sleep.
But I had 4 days worth of general things to keep up on, right? Maybe mowing the yard, maybe I had an appointment to make or to go pick something up, to do something. And I finally got to bed, and then at midnight the phone rings because there was a big fire downtown. And they were like, hey, we're calling back for overtime for a fire at such and such. I'll be there in 20 minutes, you know? Like, sometimes that's how it goes. And the fireman's wife has to work around the schedule similar to how a military wife does, you know?
And then I'm pretty sure that those nights that you miss are also like a little heavy in your health. I mean, being like sleepless is pretty hard, but that's part of the job.
Um, uh, the lack of sleep and the lack of and when you're working somewhere where you know that the bell's going to go off and you're going to get called out, you're not getting real sleep. You're sleeping on the edge of your seat, you know, and it kills firefighters. It's the cortisol buildup in their system, and that's a common thing that's finally being recognized in the fire services, that they're trying to find new schedules that give time for the cortisol levels to come back down, because it does it kills firefighters as much as anything, and there's plenty of things that firefighters do to themselves that aren't healthy, but that's one of the things, and it exists. It's real, right?
The sleeping pattern.
Yeah.
So you joined the fire service. You were a firefighter EMT for a while. How long? I'm just going to just talk about
Yeah.
your rank history, because
Sure.
obviously, you know, you ended your career as a fire captain. So how did you go through the ranks?
So on my department, you came on as a firefighter, and that was we're hired onto it as a trainee position to become a driver. Like, you had to become a relief driver, and I want to say it's been a long time. I want to say it was 3 years before you were eligible for promotion to driver, if that's right. Anyway, shortly after I was eligible for promotion to driver, I was on a particularly young department at the time, and I was promoted to driver shortly after I was eligible, and was a fire driver.
Did they call it driver in your department? Because others call it engineer.
They called it driver in my department. I think they've changed to engineer since I've been gone, but it was driver when I was one. Your job as the driver to make sure that the truck was ready, obviously to drive the truck and to know where you're going. But as a relief driver, you have the same responsibility, just maybe not that day. You know, like maybe it's your job that day, maybe it's not. That's what it is. After 18 months, you become a relief driver, and I think after 3 years, you were eligible to be promoted to driver. And shortly after that, I became a driver, and I did that for another 7 years or so, because 10, 11 years on, I became a fire captain. We didn't have lieutenants at that time. We had lots of small stations, so there weren't lieutenants and captains. There were just captains. And 11, maybe it might have been 12 years, I became a captain. Again, it was a young department, and it was all too soon. I shouldn't have been a driver at 3 years, 4 years. I shouldn't have been a captain at 11 or 12 years.
You feel like it was a little too fast for you? Are you talking about maturity, or are you talking about the experience?
Both. Yes. Maturity and experience. A fireman needs more time doing what he's doing and honing his skills before he moves on. But like I say, I was on a particularly young department, and it was either me or somebody else who came on with me. Like it was happening, and so I did.
Was it like a small area where you were?
A city of 40,000.
So smaller side.
That's small.
Are you still on the same location?
I have moved to Wichita since then, but I'm no longer a firefighter, obviously. But I was born and raised in Hutchinson, and that's where I worked. But I've since moved away from Hutchinson. I live in Wichita. Are you familiar with Wichita, Kansas?
I heard of it, but the only thing I told you when we talked before, the only thing I'm familiar with Kansas is Dorothy and Toto. Sorry, that's my Kansas reference.
That's that. Yeah. Gee, I've never heard that before.
I'm pretty sure everybody's like, "Oh, where's Toto?" Toto.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Sorry.
Toto, KU. When we travel to Mexico, my wife and I, when we say we're from Kansas, they go, Kansas City.
Toto.
Yeah.
So, how special is it to be in the fire service in the town you grew in? Because, that's a very specific, it's a smaller town, so everybody knows everyone, or a lot of people, right?
I knew everybody. There's 40,000 people in town, and I knew all of them. Yeah, almost. I mean, not literally, but yeah.
Is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
Yes. There is an advantage that you have a link and that it's special to you and that it's dear to you. But there's a disadvantage because sometimes you make calls, and medical calls or fire calls, and you show up and the people that are the ones involved, and that's not good. That adds a whole nother level of it adds an emotional level to it, and you don't need that, at that time. You need a functional level, and it adds an emotional level. And I know we're going to get to it later, but I broke, eventually, and I hate going back to Hutchinson now. When I go back to Hutchinson I've got children that still live in Hutchinson, and when I go back there now, there's not a single street I can't drive down that doesn't have memories attached to it. I'm so glad to be living in a different city now. So working in my community was good right up until it wasn't, right? Yeah.
So was it like a lot of pressure you shared before about like being promoted a little too fast? Because we're going to get into the breaking point, right?
Right.
You've been going through a lot of darkness at the end of your career. Was the pressure of like going a little bit too fast for your own emotional strengths something that contributed to that breaking point?
Yes.
Do you feel that was part of it?
That absolutely didn't help, right? That was a negative thing. Also, I grew up in a time where men don't get to be sad, right? You just shut up about it. And in my career in the fire service in general, broadly, right, was beginning to change and realize that that there's some harm happening to the soul of these firefighters, right? And my department was a little bit slower on picking up on that. And I literally was sitting and telling my battalion chief, who I was stationed with one day, that I was hurting. And I felt like I was all alone and I didn't know what to do. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. He said, well, have you ever thought about talking to anybody? And I said, have you? And he's like, no, right? Like, I wouldn't do that. And then the bells went off for a code blue. And he was like, well, we'll pick this up later. That actually happened.
What's a code blue?
A code blue is somebody who's dead. They're not breathing and they have no heartbeat.
Oops.
That's okay. And I'm sorry that I'm so general about it.
No, that's okay. I mean, I'm gonna be like asking a lot of stupid questions.
Please.
I'm gonna stop you, but like, what is that? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I ran. I want to say thousands of code blues, if not thousands, a lot of hundreds of code blues. That's what we did, but that was part of the thing that was eroding at me and my soul, and I was trying to express this to my chain of command, and they were like, well, you better take that one. Have a good time. We'll see you when you get back, you know? My department was just small enough that it was slow to pick up on things that are happening more regularly today, you know?
Yeah. So you feel like right now there's more mental health awareness around the departments, but where you were going through these things, you felt like there was no one to really listen to you.
Right. There's more now. I don't know if there's enough because I've been out of the game for 6 years now, and I know that there's more now, but I don't know if there's enough.
Which is not that much. I mean, it's not a long time to see enough changes. I mean, 5 or 6 years. I'm guessing, yes, things have changed a little bit, but maybe not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So you were a fire captain when you actually got to the breaking point. Was it a sleep pattern? Was it like a depression? Do you mind sharing a little bit about what you went through?
Well, what I felt in my heart, I was just sad, and I didn't know why, and it didn't come out. My sadness was hidden. I was fine 95% of the time, 99% of the time. And some nights, and I remember sitting in the hot tub with my wife, drunk, bawling. And when I was drunk, the sadness would come out, right? Like my honest Craig would show up. And I didn't realize I was sad because I was parking it. I had a great big old backpack that I was parking all that in, and I just didn't know it. You know what I mean? I'd gotten good at it, but the drinking made honest Craig come out, and it obviously became a problem. So I don't remember your original question now. I went too far.
No, I was just asking you about how did the breaking point manifest itself? How did you realize that you were like getting into...
I didn't realize.
You didn't
right.
realize at the beginning. That's why you're sharing. Like you were like having that sadness inside, but do you think that was like all the things have you seen, all the things that you
Yep,
experienced
that's
without
it.
being able to talk
That's
about
exactly it. Is that it was happening, and I was sad about it, but I wasn't expressing that I was sad about it. It never left. It built up. It grew and grew and grew, and my backpack overflowed. You know.
Mm-hmm. Was it like a particular event that made you feel that you couldn't do it anymore, or was it like just an accumulation of things?
So there are a few events that were big and that I think about more often than others and that I regret. But the biggest thing that weighed on me was just the accumulation of all the little events. We spent so much time going to calls for people who needed help. And we would help them this 5 minutes. They need to be up off the floor. Okay, you're off the floor now. Tomorrow, they need off the floor. Okay, you're off the floor now. The next day, they need off the floor. Okay, you're off the floor now, right? I'd made thousands and thousands of calls that were repetitive, but we weren't actually helping. We were just fixing this 5 minutes. Just a Band-Aid. And that they needed more help than we could give them. We would tell our chain of command or whoever we could tell, they need more help than we can give them. And we're right back there the next day, just putting a Band-Aid on it, you know?
The people who were like needing that help, were they people with like drug addicts, or what kind of people are you talking about?
Mostly the elderly.
Oh, elderly. Mm-hmm.
Mostly, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a general conversation also about how some part of the population get a little lost and forgotten and need more
Yeah.
help than what they get.
Yeah.
You sound like you were always like a sensitive person hiding behind
Machismo.
I was not going to say machismo. I was going to say, about behind the masculine wall of pride. Yes?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think that's the definition of machismo, by the way. But yes.
Yeah, I was like, machismo, I don't know. Because machismo to me is like a man who's like using his masculine side for feeling superior. But sometimes the masculine side...
You see it as an offensive thing, and I see it as a defensive thing. That's interesting.
We're
Let's
gonna have
let's
to
do a whole
talk
new
about
podcast on
machismo. I
that.
know, because for me, a machista is someone who's actually mean to women, or like me, like using the masculine side of himself to abuse his power.
Oh,
But the masculine side I'm
you know
talking
what?
about,
Maybe I'm using machismo wrong. You might be right. I'm
because
gonna look it
for
up when
me,
we're
like
done.
the masculine side we're talking about right now, the thing that's kind of linked to education, right? It's like, oh, you're a boy, you don't cry. You're a boy, you're strong. You're a boy, you're not allowed to be sensitive.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of sensitive men in the world. Thank God, right?
there needs to be some sensitive men. There needs to be men who have no emotions. We need everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So for you, when you got into that state of emotions, you didn't feel the emotions at the beginning, right? You were just like wondering why you were feeling bad about things.
I was a fireman for 20 years, and I I probably didn't recognize that I was parking my emotions until I'd been a fireman for about 19 years. Like,
Alcohol was something that you were using to try to um, forget things.
sure, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say it better. I won't reframe it. You said it right. Yes, correct.
So when you were coming home, was it like in between every shift? I'm sorry if I'm getting too much into
No, that's okay.
details. Just let me know. And no, I don't want to talk about that. So you were like going home after having a lot of heavy shifts, and you were like going straight to alcohol.
Oh, maybe not straight to alcohol, but I was probably drinking between every shift. Sure. Yeah.
When did you feel that that became a problem for you?
I recognized that it was a problem for me when honest Craig started showing up, right? On my days off, and I'm telling my wife I don't feel good, and I'm bawling to her and telling her about my work. And then it's like, wait, maybe this is a thing. Of course, she probably said it to me first. But that was the point where
So you were lucky to have your wife as a confidant.
she and a good friend of mine, the one who actually turned me on to you, who sent me a text and said, "Hey, you need to talk to her." They saved my life. Absolutely, they saved my life. Must have been like 6 months after I went to Sad Farming Camp, which I understand we're gonna get to later.
Yeah.
But about 6 months after I went there, we were just in a super spot in life and marriage. Everything was going really well. We were in the car getting ready to go somewhere one day, and I looked at her and I said, "Do you think that we'd be here if I didn't go to what I call Sad Fireman Camp, the International Association of Firefighters Center of Excellence?" And she said, "Craig, if you hadn't gone there, you wouldn't be here at all." She's convinced, and if she says that, I believe it, because she wasn't making things up. She wasn't telling a story at that time. She was telling me that if you hadn't gone there, you wouldn't be here with us at all right now.
So that makes kind of leads us to talk about suicide in the fire service, because this is a huge, I wouldn't say it's a taboo right now because people begin talking about it, but there is a lot.
We're starting to, yeah.
There is a lot of fire service members who don't get the confidence that you got. I'm so glad you had your wife to be able to talk to.
You and me both.
Yes. And then they don't have that person to listen to their sadness inside, even if they can't express it with words, right? Because it's hard to express it. And
Right.
and they unfortunately commit suicide. So do you think that your wife at the time was like, okay, that's it. I need to do something, because if not,
Yes.
he's going to do something wrong.
That's exactly it. And she didn't know who to call, right? But she called somebody who I worked with for a long time, who's a pretty sharp fellow, and he's pretty in tune with things like that. Like he cares.
Who's also a fireman.
Yeah, he was my firefighter at the time, and she called him, and he said, "Bring him to the house, drop him off." And she did, and we went to his house, and he dropped me off, and he had known somebody through a firefighter motorcycle club who had been to the Center of Excellence, And he said, hey, here's the deal. Here's the number. Like the International Association of Firefighters Center of Excellence is somewhere where you have to request to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the request, and once we made contact, they made a bed space for me, and I went and stayed there.
So tell us about your experience with the center. So it's a rehab center only
Uh-huh.
for firefighters.
That's right. So I think they opened up in like 2017, and don't shake your finger at me if I've got the year wrong. 2017 or so, they opened, and when they opened, they were the first mental health and substance abuse center combined in the United States. They didn't exist. So before that,
And not even for firefighters, you're saying in general.
anywhere in general. So what would happen, and what happens today still for people who don't have access, is your mind's not right. You fix it with drugs or alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work anymore. So now you go somewhere. Say you go to a substance abuse treatment center, and they do their intake, and they go, well, you're crazy. You need to go get that worked out, and then you can come back here and we'll fix your substance abuse. Or you go to a mental health facility, and they say, listen, you've got some drug and alcohol problems. Go get that fixed, and then you can come back here. And they have to happen at the same time because they're both from the same problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Center of Excellence opened up in 2017 or so, and they do both at the same time. Like, the groups are geared towards both. You're kind of either coded mental health or substance abuse. But the fact of the matter is that 95% of the guys there are both. And I say guys, there were girls there too. There's female firefighters. There was ladies there too.
Mm-hmm. So are they coming from all of the U.S. or is it like, it's called international? Is it because it's international or?
So the Union for Firefighters is the International Association of Firefighters. So it's the IAFF. And the local that I was from my chapter was 179. We were an early adopter. They're in the thousands now, right? There's chapters all over. There are a few in Canada. There's several in Canada. And I think there's a few in Australia. And that's what makes them international.
Oh, that's why it's international.
So it's not worldwide, but
I see.
there are some outside of the U.S., and that's what makes it the International Association of Firefighters. But it is simply the Firefighters Union.
Okay.
I could have called it that, except that's not what it's called,
No,
right?
no, that's good. No. I love it. Thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome. So the catch to the IAFF Center of Excellence is you have to be an IAFF member to go there.
Yeah, you have to be a union member. Okay.
I want to make sure that anybody who's listening knows that even if you are retired and you are no longer a union member,
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do, it's not hard. All you have to do is go to your fire department where you retired from and say, listen, I have $1. Can you make me a union member for a year for $1? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I won't vote. I'm not going to try and change your stuff. I just need to be a union member so I can go to the Center of Excellence, and that's okay. You just have to be a union member, and there's no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, they don't care. That's okay.
And because we're talking about that, and I know that you wanted to do the episode because you wanna make sure people who need help can listen and get all the information for the help they need. If they are not a union member but they're still in service, can they join the union and then be automatically eligible to get to the center?
If they can present an IAFF union card, they can go to the Center of Excellence, and it's the place to go.
But if they're not union members, they can't go.
No, you cannot.
And they cannot join the union and then go?
No, they totally can. You could join the union and then go.
Okay, I want to make sure that, people who listen who are not union members may be eligible to join the union and then get some help.
Right. And we had a fellow retire from my department. And then about a year after he retired, another guy that knows him says, hey, I don't think this fellow's doing well. And I was like, sign him up for the union and send him to Maryland. Like, it's that easy. Just literally give him a union membership so he can go,
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. The beauty of the Center of Excellence, and am I jumping the gun here by talking about it?
No, that's good. No. Talk about it,
Okay.
and then we'll go back into
Good.
your
Good
experience.
segue.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. That's great. Tell us about that, and then we'll go back into your personal experience going through the center.
So the beauty of the Center of Excellence is that it's all firefighters that are there. Everybody there is an IAFF member. Some of them only worked on an ambulance, right? Because there's departments that just hire paramedics, and maybe they worked on an ambulance. But everybody there has similar experiences. So I told you that I was sitting in my chief's office, and I told him that I felt like I was all alone. I was not alone
Yeah.
at the Center of Excellence. Most of the work that's done there is in groups. My counselor, I bet I saw her 4 times while I was there. Most of the work that's done there is in groups, and that's the way to go. And I didn't believe that before I went. I didn't think it made sense. But it makes sense because you get to sit in a room with 15 other firefighters, and they've all broken in similar ways, you know?
When you got there to the center, how fast did it happen? How fast did they send you to the center when you made the call?
The person I talked to was in Florida. There's a call center there that does their work. And I want to say that it was a week or so, week and a half before I got to go. And I went during a particularly special time. I went during COVID.
Ooh, haha.
Right. So I went in 2020, and
It's just an extra layer of flavor for you.
yeah. I just needed that, right? That was all I needed, And it was later in COVID. I think we'd been through about a year of it or so before I went. But at the time, if you flew to get there, then you had to go somewhere else. You had to go to they call it the Hog, Harbor of Grace. There's another treatment facility, and you'd have to go there for so many weeks to quarantine there. But if you drove, you could go right there and you just quarantine for I don't know, it was 5 days or something. They literally had taken there's 4 houses, and each house has several bedrooms and a big day room and a kitchen. And they had one house that was the quarantine house, and they would put 2 people in it at a time. And the guy that I was quarantined with was named Jason. And so you'd have to go quarantine there for so many days or a week-ish. It's about a week. I took a COVID test at the gate before I could come in. Then I had to quarantine for a week or so before they would let me back into the general population. They were so scared of COVID, right? And the whole world was.
So, but at the same time, you were quarantine with someone, and did you have any withdrawal symptom? Because I'm guessing some people, I don't know how heavy you were in alcohol, but some people who were very heavy in substance abuse needed some help with that as well.
That's something that they look for and they treat. I've never had withdrawal symptoms. I don't know if I don't drink enough or if I'm just good enough at it. I don't know what the answer is, right? That's a service that's offered. That's something that they treat.
Yeah, because if it's drug abuse, some drugs need more physical support at that point.
There's a separate building where the nurses are,
For drugs.
And there's always a nurse on staff. And if somebody's having withdrawal problems, they would just stay in that building.
So the people around you, they're all firefighters going through breaking points and being needing some mental and support help. Most of them were dealing with alcohol, or most of them with drugs, or would you say it was kind of a mix?
I would say they were all mental health patients, 100% of them. But maybe half had an alcohol kicker, right? And maybe half of the rest, maybe not half even, maybe 10 or 20% of the fellas there had a drug problem. I was there with a guy. I won't even say where he's from. I don't want to give anything away, but I was there with a guy who he was a fireman. He was a fireman in a, let's just go ahead and call it a big city, right? And he was microdosing methamphetamine, and he was putting it into little pill capsules, like you make your own vitamin pill capsuls. And he was putting it in there, and he was a meth addict, right?
He was fine until he wasn't.
That's right. You're listening.
Yeah.
And his problem became apparent to him. He went on a bender and went to Las Vegas and racked up like, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000 on his wife's credit card.
Oof.
And he didn't even have his, like, he lost his ID while he was in Vegas. And he didn't know what he was going to do next. He was trying to decide whether he was going to come to the Center of Excellence or whether he was going to go to Mexico and just disappear.
Wow.
And he wasn't sure what he was going to do. And he decided on the Center of Excellence. He claims that he boarded an airplane. This is during COVID. He boarded an airplane using his Costco card. Like his Costco is his ID.
Oh my God.
He gets on the plane. He makes it to it's the city. It's in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, is where the Center of Excellence is. It's pretty close to DC, and since he flew, he had to go to the Harbor of Grace for however many weeks, the quarantine. Mm-hmm. And he went to the Harbor of Grace and he gave them those pills. Like he checked in those pills that he was microdosing meth with. And the first day he went for med check, they went to give him one of those and he was like, "Oh, I can't do this. You can't give me that. It's meth." Like, don't. Like he finally decided it was time to start to slam on the brakes, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad he did because he's still around.
Me too. And he's a good cat. He and I are friends. Mm-hmm. He's not a bad person. He just chose that to deal with his issues, and I chose alcohol. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that didn't make him a bad person.
No. And so what was your daily life in the center? Whatever you can share, maybe the things that you cannot share. Was it like therapy? Were you sharing about your thoughts and your sadness and your everything? It's kind of like an AA meeting?
So the daily life, I want to start there because it's perfect, mm-hmm. is like living in a snow globe.
But then they shake it.
Yeah, that's right. A snow globe?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like when you're living there because everybody's kind, everybody's happy. Everybody asks you how you slept last night, right? There's always coffee ready, and the next person you see is going to smile and say, "Hi, how'd you sleep last night?" Mm-hmm. Your meals are cooked for you. Your laundry, your bedding is washed for you. It's like you're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is worry about taking care of you, and the way that that's done is group therapy, and group therapy starts at 9 a.m. and there's a 9 to 10:30 group, and then there's an 11 to 12:30 group, and then there's a 2 to 5 group, and you go to groups all day long, and you're assigned them. You get your schedule, and you're assigned them based on your needs by your counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while you'll have a meeting with a doctor. Once in a while you'll have a meeting with your counselor. Some of the groups, there was a group where I think it was on Fridays, where they did yoga. I hate yoga. If I die and never do yoga again, I might die happy. There are all different kinds of groups. You're basically assigned them.
Is it like themed?
Themed? Yes. Yeah, they're specific and they're all taught by a genuine counselor, right? Sometimes it's your personal counselor who's guiding a group. Mine didn't do a lot of groups. But when I say guided,
mm-hmm.
there were some of the counselors, they wanted to talk. And this isn't, I'm not bagging on them. This isn't bad. They wanted to talk and they wanted to teach and they wanted you to listen. And there was other counselors who, when they had a group, they would open up the conversation and then the group would guide the conversation.
They wanted you to talk.
That was good too. They're both good, right? There's one particular counselor. She only worked on the weekends, and she was one of them who just wanted to teach, right? And a lot of the guys that were there before me, because people are there for about 6 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
So when you show up, there's guys who've been there for 6 weeks, and there's the new guy, right?
Yeah.
And the folks who've been there longer, the guys who've been there longer, it's typically guys, right? There was only a couple of ladies, and I think there was 80 people there at one time. They knew that this particular counselor was holding group on Saturday. And these were guys who, they'd been there long enough, like they didn't go to Saturday groups if they didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "I'm not going because she's doing it." And they didn't like she wasn't well received, right? Because she ran a really structured group, and guys really preferred when the group would take off and go their own direction. Well, I was in my first or second week and I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, it was prescribed on a Saturday. I went to group, and I don't remember if it was the first time I ever saw her. I'm pretty sure it was the first time I ever had her in group. And she's going along and she's talking and she's teaching and she was from Panama. She spoke 4 or 5 different languages. She was a counselor in 3 different languages. Super smart lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she asked everybody what time it was. Well, nobody wears watches and nobody has cell phones. Right? Yeah. We had shoelaces, but we didn't have watches or cell phones, right?
You had to drop your cell phone. You couldn't have your phone.
You could not have your phone, no.
That would be like really hard for me, who has a phone addiction.
So
I'm sorry, it's like the phone addiction is a heavy one too.
That's part of the bad stuff, right? Because if you have your phone, you're not living in the center of excellence in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. You're living wherever else your phone is taking you, and you need to be here. That's why I say it's a snow globe, right? You're in a snow globe, but it's perfect in there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that.
And how many people in the world, of the 8 billion people in the world, get to go have a free break where everything's taken care of?
Very few people in 2026.
Nobody, right? Like, It is the best thing that had ever happened to me. It saved my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she asks what time it is, right? And with no phones and no watches, there's a clock on the room, just like in a day room in a fire station. Everybody turns and looks at the clock, and we all agreed it was 10:57, which I don't know how many firemen you know, but to get firemen to agree that it's 10:57, that's a feat on its own. She should get a medal or something for that, right? We all agreed on one thing. It's 10:57. I was shocked when everybody goes, yeah, it's 10:57. I was like, wait, did 15 firemen just agree on one thing right away? Like, I was shocked. I was took. Anyways, we all agreed it was 10:57, and she went on talking about something, and I guarantee it applied because, again, super smart lady, right? And then a minute later, she goes, what time is it now? Everybody cranes their neck around, right? And looks at the clock and goes, it's 10:58. She says, that's right. And that's right was one of her key phrases. That's funny. She goes, that's right. 10:57's gone. It's in the past.
Oh.
It doesn't exist anymore. You can remember 10:57, but you don't have to live there. Your heart doesn't have to live there, and you don't have to exist there anymore. It's 10:58 now. So why don't you do yourself a favor and live in 10:58 right now? Right now it's 10:58. And 10:59, it hasn't happened yet. And we don't know what's going to happen in 10:59. So we don't have to worry about 10:59 because we don't know what's going to happen. We're really smart and we think we can predict what's going to happen in 10:59, but we don't know.
Can't.
So just be here in 10:58.
That's beautiful. That's a very powerful exercise. I'm like, oh, yeah.
A year after I got back from Sad Fireman Camp, I got 10:57 tattooed on my inner left wrist and 10:58 tattooed on my inner right wrist.
Wow. Did you tell her?
I have no way to communicate with her. I mean, you don't share phone numbers or anything. That would be, it's improper to share phone numbers.
Wow. Yeah, and I know what you mean, but like her as a professional having that testimony of how powerful sometimes our words and our work can be. That's a beautiful thing for her to know, right?
Yeah. You know what? I think I sent a message on Facebook to the Center of Excellence after I did and said, hey, if you think to, let her know.
I like it.
I made a big deal about it because it was really impactful for me. I needed that. And so much so that people that weren't in that group were impacted by it, right? Mm-hmm. And people that I've shared it with since I've been back. I've told friends when I'm having some sort of a problem, right? Mm-hmm. A particular friend of mine that lives here in Wichita, and I've told her blah 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 blah. I'm having this particular issue, and she goes, "Well, that's funny. But that's 10:57, right?"
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful reminder for you to be like, oh, let me look at my arms. Right?
It's real.
So how long you were there for? Were you there for like 6 weeks as well?
I was there for 7. I was an enigma. I volunteered to stay longer. Everybody else is trying to bust and get out, right? Mm-hmm. That there were certain times that you could leave in certain days or certain days of the week, and the time that my counselor was like, you could go this day, right? You can go ahead and go. I knew that I would have come back to Hutchinson, and we had a flooring store at the time. My dad and I did. I would have come back to Hutchinson, and there would have been a lot of expectations of me. Hey, we need to talk about this. You need to catch up on this. Did we make sure this got done? Right? And I was in a really good place at the time, and I felt like that throwing me in right into the mix in the middle of the week would have been bad. So I actually requested to go on a later date so I would arrive home on the weekend and I would have a couple days to warm up to life outside of the snow globe.
Were you out of the fire service at the time already? You left the fire service and then you went into the facility?
I was on the fire department the day that I told my boss that I was going to take this leave, and I went and did it. And I was still hired by the city. And I basically did that, came home, and was using like sick time, which I had. And after a given period, the city finally sent me a letter. They sent a letter. They didn't call. They didn't visit, right? They sent a letter saying, we understand that you have no intention of coming back to the fire department, and we're going to go ahead and like end our relationship now. And I was terminated, I guess.
Did you have intention to come back?
No, I did not.
How did you decide not to go back?
That's a good question, and there's a good answer.
I'm waiting for it.
So I was talking with my counselor one day, which again, it didn't happen very often, right? Which was weird to me, but I understand why now. But I was talking with her, and she said, "What's going to make you better about all this? You know, what's going to make for a good healthy Craig? You know?" And I said, Not being a fireman anymore is going to do it. That's what's going to do it." And she goes, "Okay, so you're not going to return to the fire service?" And I said, "Of course I am. The day I get back." And she's like, "Well, why would you do that?" And I said, "I've got bills to pay. Like, I don't have any discernible skills. I'm a fireman. Like, that's what I do. I don't know what I wouldn't know what else to do in this world. That's what I do." And she said, "Is there no sort of like a retirement? Is there no sort of a disability retirement in your state?" And I said, "I think so. I think I know a guy who did it, but you have to qualify for something like that." I said, "Do I have anything going on that would qualify me for that?" And I kid you not, she's holding a manila folder in front of her, right? And she slowly glances down at the manila folder.
Yes.
And she slowly glances back up. She goes, "You qualify." So I had been harboring anxiety, depression, and PTSD for who knows how long, right? I've been tucking them in a backpack and working away, and she didn't have any question. The nurse who did my intake didn't have any question, and none of my counselors had any question that I'm absolutely crazy, right? And so...
Do you think crazy?
Yeah.
I don't know if PTSD and anxiety is being crazy. It's just being maybe
You don't think so?
hypersensitive. No.
It's funny, I'd call it crazy. Do you have PTSD and anxiety?
I have anxiety.
Maybe I'm the one that gets to define this here then, huh?
Okay, you call it crazy. Okay.
Am I allowed to bust your chops? Is that part of this? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can.
Anyways, okay. So I knew that I didn't want to deal with this while I was there, but I needed to get the ball rolling. So I called a local attorney that I had in Hutchinson. There was phone time, right? There was a phone in the houses you lived in. Oh, we didn't talk about that. So there was phone time, like every other day.
Like you were in jail?
Yeah. It's good. Trust me, it's good. But every other day you got your phone for like 2 hours, and that's when I'd call my wife and I'd talk to her and whatever, right? So got phone number for the attorney that I'd used in Hutchinson for something else, and talked to him, and he said, "That's not my bag, but I'll give you the number for an attorney in Kansas City." And I called them and told them, "Listen, here's the deal. These people say that I should not be a firefighter anymore, and I'm currently in the state retirement system. This is like a medical retirement type thing, and I'm in a place where I can't deal with it right now. I would like to hire you to deal with this." And they did it. $1,500 later, I was retired.
That's the thing about, the lawyers always have a bill.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well spent, right?
Yes.
They did the work. It felt effortless.
You didn't need the extra stress.
That's right.
Yeah. So was your wife supportive of your decision? Like, when you said, okay, I'm not going to be a firefighter anymore.
If she had it her way, I would have stopped being a firefighter years before I did because she saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
We'd been together since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
She knew what was going on long before I knew what was going on.
Yeah. Are there other people that going through the facility that actually decide to go back into the fire service?
Yes, I would say, I would probably say more than half are returning to their careers. Yeah. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's great. And where are you at now in life, Craig?
So I told you I came from a flooring family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I went away to Sad Fireman Camp, my dad and I had a flooring store together in Hutchinson. And it was successful, and we had about 3 crews at the same time working. We without getting into flooring too much, we hired installers. We didn't contract any flooring out because we're installers. We were doing well, and actually, while I was gone, they sold a lot of flooring. It's like, shoot, I need to go away again, right? So I came back to my sick time, my retirement at the fire department, and just running the flooring store. And I did that, and then shortly after the COVID thing was over, right towards the end of it, we were having a hard time hiring installers because the $1 trillion that was shoved out into the economy, installers didn't need a flooring store to find them work. They could find their own work really easily. And we wanted to hire installers. So we closed the store, and I started working in Wichita at a flooring store as a general manager, right? So I was commuting between Hutch and Wichita, which is about 45 minutes every day, just to go work at a flooring store and be a general manager. And I did that, and I ended up working at another flooring store for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working one day at the second flooring store, and I got an email from an oil refinery that's just, it's about 20 minutes north of Hutch. It's about 55 minutes from Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, hey, we'd like you to apply for a pipeline controller job. What? Okay. So I applied, and I had a friend that worked there, and that's kind of how I got the application. He recommended me for the job. And so now I work as an oil pipeline controller.
That's great. Do you like it?
I love it.
Nice.
It's the world's most boring video game.
Is that a good thing?
Yes, it's a great thing.
Okay.
Compared to working for a small municipality who is constantly trying to tell you that we can't do this, we won't do that, to going to working for an oil company, I show up at work every day with a smile on my face, and I leave with a smile on my face.
You have better benefits? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yes.
Do they have nice snacks?
I usually bring my own food, but there's a bowl of fresh fruit next to my seat every day when I sit down. It's always there.
That's nice.
They provide it. Yeah. No. Do they have nice snacks?
It's important.
That sounds
Craig,
like a question I would ask, not you. I don't know.
Hey, actors, in LA, we know the studios who have the better snacks. That's very important
That's
to make
right.
you feel good and happy.
What's it called? Craft services?
Craft services is everything. I'm just kidding, but
No,
not
that's
really.
awesome.
So I'm happy you're in a place where you have good snacks.
If I sent my boss an email today and said, I love the bowl of fruit, but I'm not a big fruit guy. If I sent my boss an email today and said, listen, I think the control room is missing Snickers. I think we need a box of Snickers. There would be a box of Snickers when I show. Yeah, it's done.
That's nice.
It's done. It's over. It's settled. Yeah.
So you're happy where you are in life now?
Absolutely. I am where I want to be.
I love that.
I told you in our phone conversation, didn't I, that my wife and I plan on living abroad?
Yes.
Yes. So that doesn't mean that I'm disappointed with where we're at. That just means that I've got a few...
But you want something different. Yeah, that's good.
I do. I want to experience more. I've done this. I did this for 47 years and 50 by the time we move. I want to experience more. And I know that there's more out there. I know there's different ways of being.
I love that.
And we really do like the Mexican pace. Mañana,
That's
right?
nice. It's like a new page in mañana. Yeah, a new page in your life. That's good. And do you miss the fire service at all?
No. Nope. I wish I did. Boy, I wish I did, and I feel bad for saying that I don't. I
That's
do.
good.
Like now, I have guilt because I say that
No.
I don't.
Don't
Um,
have guilt.
but I don't miss it because it broke me and nearly killed me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I liked the things that I did on the fire department, and I was good at it. I was a pretty good firefighter. I was a really good fire driver, and I was a pretty good captain. I um, I had a knack for being able to think while the sirens were still going.
Because your brain is busy.
Like we're approaching a scene, and it's starting to develop. I was able to maintain the proper level of thought to figure out what needed to be done next or what we needed to do when we came in. I was really good at that. That was probably my best quality as a captain. My best quality as a driver was training up new drivers. And I say that with a wink because I happened to get young firefighters who were some of the most capable, sharpest individuals ever. It might not have been me at all. I might be a terrible teacher, but boy, did I put out some good some good relief drivers,
That's
right?
good. I,
It might be more them than me. I don't know. We'll never know.
so are you good? Are you a good driver in general? Thanks to
No,
that?
I don't think so. No,
No?
no,
Oh,
probably not.
shoot. I
No,
thought like an engineer or driver would be a good driver, but it's not an automatic skill. I see.
not necessarily. No, I have two short little stories here. Once in a while, when I work downtown in Hutchinson, you drive up Main Street and it's a stoplight every block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after a really busy like Saturday night, I'm driving home on Sunday morning, and of course the street's empty. It's 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I would pull up to a red light, slow down, look both ways, and go on through. I did. I've
Nice.
done that a dozen times. Been like, hey, wait a minute. I've also heard stories, and we didn't have any tiller trucks. Do you know what a tiller truck is?
Nope.
Okay, so have you ever seen on movies where they're like New York or Boston or somewhere where there's big cities and there's a fire truck that has a really long ladder on it and there's a driver in the back that steers the back wheels? You're
Yes,
okay.
yes.
That's a tiller truck. So,
We have that in LA too.
oh yeah, I'm sure. Yes. So there are stories of tiller truck drivers pulling out of the station when they go home. You know, the guy that drives the back end
Mm-hmm.
and turning the wrong way. Because in a
Oh,
tiller, you steer the opposite direction of the way that you're actually turning, right?
yeah. That's funny.
For all I know, it's a joke. I don't know. I've never driven a tiller truck, but good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. So I'm so happy that you're where you want to be in life right now, Craig. And I love to end all the episodes with a little fundraising opportunity. And you chose the Ronald McDonald House, which is
Yes.
not an expected choice. So you're
No.
gonna tell us? No, I mean,
Why
most
is it
people
not
choose
expected? Is it because it's not a firefighter charity? Is that it?
exactly.
Okay.
But tell me why you chose it. I love it.
Um, I chose it so we were getting ready to go on a family trip. What, he's 16 now, so this would have been about 12 years ago, and we had one of our kids who had a pretty high dose of ADHD medicine, so it was being packed into like the old people daily pill counters, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And normally the meds were up and out of reach, but these were out because we were packing for vacation, and me and the kids were out in the backyard playing on the play equipment we had out back. And my youngest, he was about 4 years old. He has Down syndrome. And he was doing this crab claw thing with his hands. And he just wouldn't stop doing it. And he just kept doing this. And I was like, what's he doing? That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't figure out what his deal was. And then supper's ready. We go in. We're sitting down having supper. All my kids have always been really good at dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not eating. And he's doing this crab claw thing. And he's all over the place. And he's not eating. And not at all normal for him. And we're literally getting on our phones and Googling it and seeing like what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife gets up and goes and checks that pill container. He had taken those pills.
Ooh.
He had taken
His brother's pills.
his brother's pills. And we found one of them, so he took as many as 6 max dose ADHD pills. Once we figured it out, at the dinner table, there was no pause in me. You know what I mean? I scooped him up out of his chair. He didn't have shoes. I didn't care. Scooped him out of his chair, threw him in the car seat, and off to the ER we went.
Yeah.
And he rode an ambulance over to Wichita and went to the pediatric ICU at Wesley Medical Center, and we stayed there for several days. They were waiting for some numbers to come down for a while until they realized that those numbers aren't going to come down for weeks. So then they went ahead and sent him home. But there's a room there that's that's a place of respite for parents who have kids in the ICU. And there's everything you might need there, from razors to snacks to people, whatever you need. And they're all volunteers. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If he were in a more serious need, they provide housing and hotels and whatever else that parents might need. And I just feel like that's a charity worth, they do good things.
I love that. I had a meningitis at 3, so hospitals can be very scary for kids, and I'm sure it's scary for the parents around too. We just, as a kid, you don't see that. You just, in your own experience. But I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Craig.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Craig. And thank you so much for sharing. And I really hope that if someone needs to hear your experience, they're going to listen to the episode and know that there is a place where they can share and get better.
Yeah, you bet. The International Association of Firefighters Center of Excellence. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, Craig.
Bye.
This was Chats with Firefighters on most podcast platforms and on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Chats with Firefighters.